How's it going, everyone? It's Caleb here, and today we are going to be talking about Madden '09 on the PlayStation 3. But before we get into the review, I wanted to share a little Christmas story with you guys. You know, it is wintertime, it's the Christmas season, and this is a game I actually got for Christmas back in the day. When I got the gift, I got it on Xbox 360. And I remember getting it, being super excited for it. This was the first time I was ever getting a brand new Madden game like the year it was released. Usually I would just pick them up from GameStop. They'd be pre-owned and it had been a while, after they came out. But this was the first time I was getting one and it had just released. So I was super excited for it. And we had our Xbox 360 in the living room and we had it stood up vertically. And I remember opening it up and getting Madden '09, getting super excited, putting it in my Xbox 360. And my dad walks over by the Xbox 360 and he accidentally kicks it over. And if you've ever seen what happens when an Xbox 360 gets kicked over, you know what happened to the disc. The Xbox 360 decided to basically eat the disc. It burned the disc completely and ruined the disc. So that made for a very sad Christmas. However, my parents did buy me another copy the next day. I think they actually were able to return that copy as well. I don't know how they were able to, but that was something that, looking back on it, it's funny. Looking back on it, it's pretty funny, honestly. But at the time, it was super sad because I was waiting for that game, and it was the first time I was ever going to get a Madden game that was brand new. But either way, you know what? I look back at it now, and I think it's kind of funny, and it's a Christmas memory that I'll always remember. So I guess if nothing else, I'm glad I have that memory. Now let's talk about the game itself, and if it was a good Christmas gift. Here's a hint. It was. This is actually a fantastic Madden game, and honestly, it still has aged pretty well. You know, a lot of the PlayStation 2 games, they had balancing issues and stuff. The balancing issues in this game were not nearly as bad as a lot of the previous Madden games, especially because they kind of fixed the issues with one simple thing, and that is being able to rewind plays. You know, you can give yourself so many rewinds during a game, and if you say you throw an interception, maybe it's your own fault, you just have a boneheaded mistake and you throw an interception, or if your character does something stupid like they do in pretty much every Madden game, even the modern Madden games, where you throw towards a receiver and for some reason instead of throwing towards the receiver, he just throws it straight to a defender and you throw an interception. In this game, they allowed you to rewind that play, which I really liked because if something stupid like that did happen, whenever the PC player did anything overpowered, well, then you could just rewind the play and you could have your playback, which was really cool. However, it could also bite you in the butt because it doesn't confirm with you when you press the square button. It doesn't confirm with you if you want to actually replay or not. So if you score a long touchdown and then you accidentally press the replay button, it's going to replay your touchdown all the way back. and I gotta be honest, that sucks. But it can make for some funny moments as well, so it's okay in the end. I'm glad that they added this feature. It is a very nice feature that really, really helps with the balancing in this game. And overall, I think the game actually plays very well. I like the way that this game plays. It still feels really smooth. One of the most important things for me whenever I go back and play one of these Madden games is to look at the roster and see who's on the roster. And you have, again, another really good roster of quarterbacks, for example, in this game. You had Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan in this game I believe this was the rookie year, so this should have been their first time in a Madden game, which is really cool. You know, you have Peyton, Eli, Aaron Rodgers, you have Tom Brady, of course, Dante Culpepper still in this game, Jake Delhomme, Derek Anderson. You got a decent amount of quarterbacks in this game, and some pretty good ones. Carson Palmer, Chad Pennington still in this game, David Garrard, and I really like the quarterbacks in this game, and I like all the players in this game for the most part. There's a few I could do without, but I'm not going to get into that. But anywho, that being said, I think that this game actually has a great cast of characters. One of the interesting things about this game is that the cover star of this game was Brett Favre. However, Brett Favre is not actually on the active roster. He is under the Legends roster instead, and the reason for that is because this was during that weird time where Brett Favre kept flip-flopping on whether he was going to retire or not. So because of that, they just put him in the Legends, and he's not actually on any team. And I always thought that was kind of funny. So if you want to play and have him in your fantasy draft, for example, on franchise mode, you actually need to enable the legends to be drafted as well. Or I think you can sign them to one of the teams, just like, in your regular settings. If you sign him to one of the teams, I think that might be able to bypass that and let him be part of the franchise fantasy draft. But again, it's just kind of one of those weird things that I noticed. Another thing that's kind of strange is that he's in a Packers uniform on the front of this game, and I think that they did have a limited release where he is in a Jets uniform, because this was about the time where, the Packers didn't want him anymore. They were going to start Aaron Rodgers, so he was going to go to the Jets. And I think that there are copies of this game with him in the Jets jersey, and I always wanted one, but I could never find one. Let's talk about the Create a Team for a minute, because the Create a Team in this game definitely is limited compared to older Madden games. They definitely limited the amount of logos compared to a lot of the older Madden games, which was a little bit disappointing. I really liked using the European team logos, and you can't use those in this game. In fact, the European teams aren't in this game at all. And to be fair, yes, the European teams at this point were debunked. They didn't exist anymore. However, I still would like them to be included, just for the fact that it is part of the NFL history, and it'd be cool to be able to use those logos. But that being said, even with the limited amount of Create a Team stuff that is in this game, at least they do have Create a Team, unlike modern Madden games that don't even have it. So I will give them credit where credit is due. At least it is in this game. It does work, and you can still make some pretty cool Create a Teams, and you can obviously put them in your franchise, and you can replace one of the NFL teams with your Create a Team and play through franchise mode with them. So that is always cool, and I always like doing that. Also, the Superstar mode in this game is really good. I love the Superstar mode in this game. This is 07 is when they really started to get it right, and then 09 is just another great version of it. 09 is a great version of it, and I love the fact that it focuses on your player. So if you're playing quarterback, it focuses only on you. You're not controlling the other characters. You are only controlling you. I like that. It makes it more immersive, and it makes it just a lot more fun, and you can really focus in on playing as your character and trying to do well. Now, one thing I will say is that I've never been a big fan of the combine, where you figure out what your overall stats are. I've never been a big fan of it. Somehow I actually did well this time and got like a 96 overall. That is pure luck. I have never done that before. But either way, I'm usually not good at the combine. It's not necessarily that's a bad thing, but I just remember being terrible at it as a kid. But apparently I've gotten a little bit better at it over the years, so I won't complain about it as much as I was going to. One thing that I really love about Madden 09 is that you can simulate just parts of the game instead of simulating the entire game. I love that they have that in this game, and I'm glad that they have that in all modern games from Madden as well, because it's just, I'm an offensive guy. I like playing the offense. I'm not a big fan of playing defense, so it's nice that I can just skip the defense plays. I can just watch, the game simulate each play one by one, and then I can jump into the action anytime I want. I love that. That is one of the best additions to Madden, and I'm just glad it's there. It makes the games go a lot quicker too, because sometimes you don't want to play for, an hour match, right? And being able to skip defense allows you to play a much shorter game. So I really enjoy that as well. So that's one of the best features that they've added in Madden. The graphics in this game are really nice. I actually enjoy the graphics. I don't think that they look too far behind modern Madden games. Obviously, it's not as pretty as the modern stuff, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look bad at all. It's actually nice, and it's obviously one of the HD versions, since it's Madden 09. So all of that stuff still looks pretty good. The soundtrack is amazing in this game. This was back when Madden still had really good soundtracks. You had Disturbed in this game, which was really awesome. You also had Linkin Park with Busta Rhymes. Love that song. They did a song on this one. It's called Together We Made It. Fantastic song, and I'm glad that is in this game. And there's just a lot of other great songs in this game. Fantastic soundtrack, one of the best in Madden history. And man, I just love this game. I love this game. It is one of those games that I can still go back and play and enjoy. And I can sink hours and hours and hours into this game at a single time. I can put 5 hours into this game easy, just in one sitting. I love this game, and if I'm not careful, I get addicted to these Madden games, especially, these PlayStation 3 era ones, these Xbox 360 era ones. Even the modern ones, I can get addicted to them really easy. I like football games. I like Madden. And this was when it really started to get really, really good. Madden 07 is when it really started getting there, but this was just a continuation of that success. So overall, I still like this game. I think it's a lot of fun, and I recommend picking it up, especially because you can find this game for $1. I literally bought this game again for $1. For $1 to be able to get 5-hour play sessions out of $1 game, that is amazing. So if you are a football fan and you want to take a trip down memory lane, this is a fantastic one to do that with. You have a fantastic roster here. You have still a lot of cool different superstar settings, and if you are wanting to just play with some of the old roster, this is a great way to do that. I like taking a trip down memory lane, seeing the old roster. I like taking the team from that year, which my favorite team is the Browns, and I like taking them and trading around and seeing what I would do if I had control of the team. If I had control of the team back then, what would I have done different? What quarterback would I have? What wide receivers would I have? I like doing that stuff. And if you are a football fan, you might have the same mentality. So go check out this one. It's great, especially for $1. I'll talk to you in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.